all of you here in the circle with me today. You know, the beauty of silence is how it completely reveals all of these other tonal undercurrents that you normally miss when you're not in a silent space, either within yourself or in your surroundings and environment. And I believe in silence as a huge cleansing purification tool, because it allows you to then be way even more able to understand and feel the impact of the tone around you, and also understand and feel the impact of vibrations coming from you to others. Yes. There's a lot of mythology regarding tone and its significance in all of creation, going all the way back to the ancient Greeks. Has anyone ever heard the story of Apollo and Orpheus and Eurydice? You've heard that one? It's a beautiful story. Apollo gave Orpheus a lute or a lyre, depending upon your particular version. It's a stringed instrument with multiple strings that can be plucked either by themselves or together to create chords and melodies. And Orpheus played the first song of magic, which is said to have been the creative force that built all of creation: mountains, oceans, the birds, the creatures on the land. And Orpheus had the ability to generate an amazing amount of creative energy with his instrument. So much so that when his wife Eurydice was killed by a snake bite, he descended into the realm of the dead with his instrument and sang her back to life and played her back to life. That's how powerful it was, the tone, and his power to harness tone. He was actually able to create life and also move mountains and tear them down if needed and if necessary. All of this through tone. And we'll get into the deeper resonant factors of the human body a little bit later on. But there's a big reason why we come to these events and we are moved by the music that is created by the musicians, because they're tapping into that very ancient and powerful creative force. Now, alongside creation is destruction. Tone can be a destructive force as well. For example, earthquake. All that is a standing wave, which I'll define that in a minute. A standing wave that's moving through the Earth's crust. You can actually detect the oscillations in like slow motion photography. You can see the Earth moving up and down, just like the waves on the ocean. That's what's going on in an earthquake. It's a very low frequency tone that's traveling through the Earth.
Oh, no problem.
Along its surface.
Don't worry, you're not in the way.
And the reason that the tones are generated, just like the mallets of a xylophone, when you strike the chord or the key of the xylophone, you hear a sound. Well, when the tectonic plates of the Earth go like this, it creates a sound. And it's not so much a shock wave, a mechanical shock wave, as it is an actual pitch that's traveling through the Earth's crust. When you hear music, you can feel certain tones because it's hitting certain parts of your body that are resonant at certain frequencies.
Thank God for music.
Yes. And just like the earthquake, the tones that are being created through music can also have a destructive force upon people who are being exposed to it. That's why it's very important to be very intentional with every element of tone that we use in our lives, whether it's just the frequency that's vibrating in our heart, the words that come out of our mouth. All of that is extremely important. There's a lot of unawareness sometimes, or even intentional misuse of tone. And so, I'm hoping that through today's forum, we can all better understand the impact of tone, not only how we are absorbing it, but how we're broadcasting it as well.
You're the shit. You shit.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Now, to stay up kind of on the, Greek mythology ticket, Pythagoras, he was an amazing man. I love Pythagoras so much. He actually calculated a system of musical notation that was based on the golden ratio, which is also what the Fibonacci is generated by. So let me bring up a little diagram here. So I get that. If I can, if it will allow me to. I'm wanting to start at the beginning. I just put this up as a. We gotta start over. Yeah. We'll just get back to that. Okay. Okay. What is the electromagnetic spectrum? Does anybody know? What is it?
Spectrum? I guess it's all the range of frequencies you can get.
The electromagnetic spectrum.
It's the electromagnetic spectrum is which
You have a complete cycle. So the complete cycle, there's a median line here. I'll show you on another diagram. I'm going to keep it on this for a second. It starts here, goes down, and then once it comes back up again, that's one cycle, 1 hertz. Okay? Yep. And how many of those happen per second is what determines the frequency. So basically,
The faster the frequency, the more.
yes, the range of human hearing is
So the higher
the more repetitions per second. Okay, so the range of human hearing is 20 hertz, which is very low, all the way up to 20,000 kilohertz, which is the highest thing that you can hear. Okay. Okay, so moving on to resonant frequency. Everything has a resonant frequency. Have you ever walked into a bathroom and either sang in there or started speaking and your voice was just like, whoa, there was like a certain element to what the bathroom did to your voice. It made it really resonant. It was because you were speaking or singing in a harmonic relative to the resonant frequency of that space.
It always
Okay?
sounds better when you're singing.
Yes, it does. So low frequencies, basically things like mountains and buildings, large items, the earth itself is low frequency. The human body starts a resonance at about 5 hertz. Okay? 5 hertz is roughly here in the hips, and depending upon if you're seated or standing, it actually goes into your shoulders and head and neck too. Okay? Now, harmonics are generated within all of the resonances. So that means that even though you cannot hear 5 hertz, you can potentially feel it. And where it starts getting really interesting is when you get into the abdomen right in here. It starts, its resonant frequency goes around 30 hertz, 30 to 50 hertz. So that's why when you're at a concert and you feel the bass, boom, and it's like hitting you, it's because that's about 30 to 50 hertz, okay, at the concert. Yeah. The human eyeball resonates at about 60 hertz. Actually, there's a harmonic for that. Now, I'm a bass player. I've been on a stage before playing bass, and my eyes are like my vision gets all weird, and it's because I was hitting right around 60 hertz. Yeah, and by the way, I'm giving you general figures right now. Everybody is their densities and mass, everything is different, okay? So resonant frequencies are largely determined upon the specific density and mass of the object in question, okay? So none of these numbers are going to be dead on for each and every one of you, but they're in the ballpark, all right? And then you go up through to a honeybee, the head of a pin, protozoan, its molecules, atoms, and atomic nuclei. Okay, everything has a resonant frequency. So, what's the next image? This is a better representation of the wavelength image right here. This is the median line. This is, you can measure it. I like to measure it from the start and end points like this, but you can also measure it from peak to peak like that. Okay, go to the next photo. Allow you to. Oh yes, this is interesting here. The Schumann resonances.